Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the chair of the full committee, the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Chairman Stahl, and thank you for your leadership of our important work in the 119th Congress on digital assets. Appreciate the questions of my fellow committee members and appreciate all the witnesses being with us today. Mr. Garrison, today's investors make investments in digital asset projects through a series of exemptions that the SEC has crafted, each with their own advantages and limitations. Could you take a minute and discuss the different exemptions that digital asset projects are currently using to raise money with investors and what the principal obstacles are to that process?
Certainly. The primary exemption that most digital asset issuers rely on is Regulation S, which is a safe harbor for offshore transactions to prevent U.S. investors from even participating. So as a starting point, many U.S. investors are just kept out. For those that do issue to U.S. investors, you typically do so through the Regulation D safe harbor, which can only be sold to wealthy investors. So you have to have over $200,000 in income or $1 million net worth to participate in that. In the U.S., there really is no straightforward way to get digital assets out to retail investors in a either registered or exempt offering.
Yeah, so that's helpful to me because this is, what I think the ecosystem has to understand is that not all these needed activities can be taken care of by the commission by itself without Congress. So what would be in your view, the key features of a workable exemption type system that SEC could add to that without Congress?
Certainly. So the SEC could use its exemptive authority to add a new exemption similar to Commissioner Peirce's token safe harbor proposals from a few years ago, for example. So a few features that could be helpful there is the ability to access retail investors, as well as tailored disclosure items for this industry, right? So token holders have different interests than a shareholder in a company. The types of disclosures that are needed are completely different in this situation.
Yeah.
So providing that type of information, and you can pair that with many investor protections, individual limitations on how many people can participate, how much they can participate of their net worth. Many of the same concepts in existing securities law exemptions can be grafted over in a way that makes it a balanced approach.
Thank you. Well, I think we've worked certainly with that concept as we've drafted our FIT 21 bill in the last Congress. Bitcoin clearly is the most popular digital asset in the ecosystem. And it's one example where both the SEC and the CFTC have agreed that it's not a security along with Ether. Do you think under the current securities laws it would be possible for a national securities exchange to list Bitcoin and a security alongside each other? Is that possible, you think, under current?
No, it is not.
Not? You don't believe it is? Mr. Yahim, you agree with that? You think?
I think there, Congressman, thank you for the question. I think there could be exemptions put in place. It's our view that rather than do this piece by piece through exemptive relief or no action, from the agency, it's really important for Congress to set a clear statutory framework and do that across both agencies. We've seen prior examples where markets have dual registrations at the SEC and CFTC, and the fact of the matter is the rest of the developed world and most other emerging jurisdictions have just called these crypto assets. And you have one regulator, one registration framework, we have to work within our unique legal system, but I think in order for our framework to be durable and keep pace with the innovation, the tests and the jurisdictional lines need to be clear and simple.
Mr. Garrison, you agree with that?
Yes, there's without a doubt a need for clear jurisdictional lines and clarity.
You've advocated for a joint SRO to oversee digital assets as a convenient way to sort of sidestep these questions. Still advocating for that? Mr. Garrison?
I'm sorry, clarification for a joint SRO to oversee SEC and CFTC trading?
Yeah.
I think that could potentially work great. Any type of communication between the two agencies and coordination on regulations would make sense.
My time's expired, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The representative